Molly Hemingway, The Federalist, joins us tonight. Molly, do we know if the FBI was aware that Bruce Ohr's wife, Nellie, worked at Fusion GPS?
The FBI should have been, that information should have been made available to the court, and it was not made available to the court. We still need to know what the FBI knew and when it knew it.
To what extent do we have a final answer on the question to what extent the Steele dossier allowed this spying to proceed and the investigation to continue?
We know that the Steele dossier was used to help secure a warrant on to surveil Christopher, or to surveil a Trump campaign associate. We have. And that is pretty explosive information. When you think about it, when we started learning about this, the idea that this dossier, which was a Hillary Clinton funded and originated campaign document, the idea that it would have been weaponized and used by our intelligence agencies was pretty explosive. And now we all have to acknowledge that it was.
Bruce Ohr seems like the critical link. I mean, here's a guy, as Catherine Harris just reported, who is not a Russia expert, whose main role seemed to be facilitating connection between a federal law enforcement agency and his wife's firm, but the court never learned that. Why is that not rotten? Why is that not corrupt?
Well, and Bruce Ohr was not at the FBI. He was not working on this FBI investigation. Right. He was funneling the information, and he was funneling the information after the FBI had claimed that they had terminated Christopher Steele as a source. They claimed that they terminated him and that they would not use his information because they realized that he had been leaking to the media contrary to what his arrangement was with the FBI, but they still managed to use his information.
So you could be, the fiercest Trump opponent politically and still have grave concerns as a civil libertarian and an American about the way this was conducted, couldn't you?
In fact, your feelings about Trump should have nothing to do with your feelings about whether this was appropriate.
I couldn't agree more. So where are the civil libertarians in this?
It's a very good question, and this is something that really is important, because if this can be done against a major presidential campaign, it certainly can be done against other people. There are so many questions that need to be answered. Perhaps there really is a good explanation for why this all went down, but the idea that people should just be forced to accept that it was okay without getting answers to basic questions about why this investigation started, when it really started, when it officially started, when it unofficially started, what was used. We do know already something very bad, which is that the Hillary Clinton funded and created research document was used by the FBI to secure a wiretap.
It's almost unbelievable. So there's another piece of it, too, that I want you to respond to. So Republican Congressman Mark Meadows says that the FBI and DOJ have developed a creative workaround in order to get surveillance warrants on people they want to target. Here's his account of it.
We know that some people at the Department of Justice and FBI actually gave information to the media. Then the stories were reported. Then they used those reports to justify further investigations. You know, that's like saying, well, we're going to incriminate on one hand and be the jury on the other. It just doesn't work that way.
So I should just note, it's still murky. A lot of this is murky, but the FBI appears to be pushing back against this story, telling Fox News that this is actually incorrect and this is not the way they went about getting warrants. Yep. What's your view of this?
We're getting different reports about what exactly was said. We do know, though, we know this from the Inspector General report that came out about the Hillary Clinton email investigation, that there's an epidemic of leaking at the FBI. This is something that was so severe that the IG actually spun it off into a separate investigation because it is so bad that people with security clearances are having dozens of contacts with reporters. It's also something that anyone with a pulse could figure out if they were paying attention for the last 2 years, that there were so many leaks of classified information, whether it was about the dossier, whether it was about the briefing of the dossier to the president, or about other matters such as Mike Flynn's conversations. These were all leaked to the media, and so we do know that we have a very serious problem. When you're doing a leak, you're doing it for a purpose. I think we need to know more about what the purpose is behind all these leaks. We also know that from what we do know of the FISA application, that media reports were used in that FISA application, media reports that were sourced to the creator of the Russia dossier himself. We should have a very high standard for what we take to a FISA court and how we use news reports.
Well, you'd think any sensible judge would laugh at an application that contained a report from BuzzFeed News or Yahoo or any news organization. I mean, it's the FBI, it's the DOJ. They should have their own data, right?
They also mentioned in the application an opinion story from the Washington Post, which might not meet the standard that you would hope for in an application.
The closer you get, the less impressive it is. Molly, thank you very much.
Thanks.